Hello, in this video we will talk about a very interesting app called REST Storage slash Passwords Manager for Splunk. Now there are a couple of reasons so before that this particular video will be part of this particular playlist called Building Splunk Apps. Okay. Now if you remember, in that particular playlist I talked about the setup page, correct? So if I just show you the video I was talking about, so there are a couple of videos I have created for the Splunk setup page, and one of those video is talking about how to store and retrieve user credentials using setup page. Now in cluster environment, now while doing that, basically I'll be giving this particular video link as well in this video, and if you have already seen this particular video, what we did over there is, so let me show you the GitHub code I was working on in that particular video. So there we basically created a setup.xml file just to create a setup page, and there we created these three inputs there, correct? The username, the passwords, and the realm. And if you remember, we were using a Splunk defined endpoint called storage/passwords, correct? And this one, when you will be saving the setup page, ideally it should be creating a file called passwords.conf where this password will be saved in a encrypted format. Now this was all good, but the problem is in cluster environment there are a lot of issues with the setup page. Sometimes it does not work properly. Even in Splunk documentation also, I think somewhere I have read like the setup page does not work properly in the cluster environment. Now there are two ways we can work with setup page in the cluster environment as well. So I have tested this code in my cluster environment as well, whatever code we'll be discussing today. Now the thing is that one way is, if you need to store only the username and password in your setup page, you can use this particular app called REST Storage and Passwords Manager for Splunk, which we'll be discussing today. Now there is another way called setup view, where you will be using a dashboard to basically you'll be using a dashboard as a setup page over there, okay, which I will be discussing very soon. And there you can basically use the Splunk JavaScript framework to achieve the setup page there. Okay, so with this background, so let us try to see it first today how this particular app works, then we will be moving to the setup view. So installation wise, this app is just like a simple installation. You can download it and just install it from the file. I already installed it, and if you just go over here, so it has a very simple UI. So you can create your own username, password, then confirm password, the realm, whatever we were seeing in the setup page as well. Then you can basically control who will be the owner, read write users, then app scope, like this is where you will be basically telling this guy where to save this passwords.conf file, and the sharing as well you can basically control over here. So you can think of this particular app to store all the user credentials you have in a encrypted format. So let's say you are using a lot of API calls, right? And over there you want to basically use those username or credentials or passwords for those APIs, right? So you can store them in encrypted format over here, just like our TMDB app, correct? So we are using a API key, so that API key we can store it as a encrypted format over here as well, which we'll be doing it today. So for that, what we'll be doing is we will be going to our TMDB app code first. So if you remember, like we created an app called TMDB app, and there we basically created an input script called TMDB upcoming, so which nothing but a Python script, which is basically ingesting the data into Splunk, all those movies data into Splunk, correct? And if you remember, when we initially developed this particular script, we were hard coding our API key in this code itself, correct? And when we discussed this particular video where how to store and retrieve user credentials, we basically stored this particular key in encrypted format in the passwords.conf, correct? So now today we'll be doing similar kind of stuff, but we will be using this particular app. So to start with, what we'll be doing it, we will just create this credential using this credential management of that particular app. So I'll be clicking on create. So username, as we do not have any username for our TMDB app, I can give any username over here. You can, if username is there, you need to give your corresponding username over here. So I'll just give the username as dummy username because I do not need that username over here. I just need the API key to store it, right? So in the password, basically you need to give the password or API key or whatever you are going to store in the encrypted format. So for our case, I'll just go to our TMDB upcoming script. I'll copy this particular API key. I will store it over here, and confirm password also I'll be giving the same API key. Realm means like whether you are going to use this particular credential in your test environment or production environment. Based on that you can set the realm. So it basically like a simple string over here. So as we are doing some demo, I'll just mention it as test over here. Now owner is admin, that is fine. Read user, everybody can access, and write, who can basically edit this one, call admin and power user. And app scope, I will be choosing TMDB. Okay, so that this passwords.conf file will be created in the TMDB app. Now sharing will be at the app level, and I'll be clicking on create. So once you click on create, so this will be automatically creating this stuff over here. You'll be getting this particular pop-up window over here. Click on close. So this page will be automatically refreshed, and whatever key you have created over here, so that will be stored over here. Now from here you can basically delete it as well, see its details, basically you can change it as well. So everything you can do. So to change it, you just need to click on this plus sign over here. If you see it, this plus sign, and then you can change these values over here, and once you are satisfied with the change, you can click on update over here. So it will be updated automatically. So as I have given correctly, so I will not be changing this one. Now let us try to see first, once we saved this one, how the files are looks like. So if I just go to TMDB app and go to the local folder, so there should be a passwords.conf file created. Okay, with this test and the dummy username we have given just now with the encrypted API key over here. So this passwords.conf also created when we were working on the setup.xml, but as setup.xml has some issues in the cluster environment, we are basically creating this passwords.conf file in this way. Now this approach will be only helpful if you just need to store the user credential through your setup page, or user credential in a encrypted format. You need to store it. If you need more user input, something like the directory name or something else, in that case this app may not be helpful. In that case, I will show you how the setup view will be we can create, so that we can get more inputs, more setup inputs from the end user as well. Now we successfully created this passwords.conf in our TMDB app. Now I will show you how to retrieve this one. Now if you remember from that particular video, let me go back to my code again, and if I just go back and open this TMDB upcoming.py, so there we were using this Splunk.entity, this particular module. And if you remember, we developed one method called get credentials, correct? There we basically use this entity module to fetch the data from admin passwords or storage password endpoint, and then return that one, and then we use this particular get credential method in our main method over here. Instead of hard coding the API key, we were getting the API key from the passwords.conf. Now we will take similar approach, but I will show you today a better approach, okay, and a concise approach as well. So we know even you can follow this particular approach as well, or you can follow the other approach which I am going to show you today as well. So what we'll be doing it today is we will be using our Splunk Python Sdk. So if you remember, so if I just go back over here, so this is the GitHub page for the Splunk Python Sdk. Now you can clone it, and you just need to get this Splunk lib directory. And if you see it over here, I have pasted this Splunk lib directory under the bin directory over here. So once you do that, you can import this Splunk lib directory in your any Python code here. So as we will be working on tmdb upcoming.py file, so here I will be importing the Splunk lib module over here, and using this Python SDK only, we will try to retrieve that password today. So for that, first thing you need to do is whenever you will be using the Splunk lib, so if even I have created a lot of videos on the Splunk lib as well, or basically the Splunk Python SDK as well. So those videos are present in this particular playlist. So if I just go over here, so if I just expand, it is not allowing me to expand. Yeah, this particular playlist, advanced searching and reporting. So there are a lot of videos on the Splunk Python SDK. So maybe if you are interested, you can take a look at those videos as well. So whatever Python SDK videos I will be creating, I will be adding to this particular playlist only. So let us not waste more time on this one. So once you get the Splunk lib, you can work on this one. Now the first thing we need to remember here is whenever you will be using the Splunk lib, first you need to authenticate to Splunk, correct? Now there are a lot of ways you can do it. So for that, let me go back to the documentation of the Splunk lib. So there is a module called splunkLib.client, okay? Now using that one, you can basically connect to any Splunk instance. Now there are a lot of ways you can do it. Either you can use simple username and password in hard-coded format, like in the clear text format, or you can use a session token as well. So which will be using it, and which will be more secure as well, because if you are using password in a clear text format in your code, it may not, security wise it may not be good, right? So let us try to see first today is how to use this token, basically the session key, to connect to the any Splunk instance. Now to do that, the first thing is, like, you are basically using this tmdb underscore upcoming.py as a input script, right? So if I just go to my inputs.conf, so this is where I am calling this particular script over here, correct? So if you remember, so if I just go back again to my GitHub page, and where I was discussing about the setup page with user credential. So there also we did similar kind of stuff. In the inputs.conf, we actually added this pass auth as Splunk system user, so that to this particular script, the session key will be available, and I'll show you how to access the session key as well. So I'll just add this one to my inputs.conf, and I'll be adding it to my default one, because there I have all these settings over here. I have added this one in the default because whenever you'll be developing your own app, the settings which has to be available out of the box, try to make it as default conf files. Otherwise any user level changes which users will be doing it, like disabling this particular inputs.conf input, basically it will always go to local folder over here, correct? So inputs.conf, this change is needed because we want the session key in our tmdb upcoming script over here. Now how to access that, so which we already saw. So I'll just copy paste this code over here. If you are interested, you can check this particular video as well, which I will be giving the link. So I'll just copy it. It's just like this particular session key will be available at the standard input. So I'm just reading it from the standard input. That's it. So I'll just paste it over here in here. Okay, so I got my session key, and if you see in that particular code, well, when we were discussing about the setup page, we created a logger as well, right? So let me try to create this logger so that we can see these things in a log file. So I have explained in detail regarding this logger in that particular video, so that's why I'm not explaining it again. So this will be our first program. So this is where we'll be logging it to a file, and that file name will be tmdb_upcoming, and that file, as I am creating this particular file under var log Splunk directory, so it will be automatically indexed into Splunk internal index, so we can see it from there as well. Now if you see it is complaining about this logging, so I will be importing these two modules over here. Here. Okay, now once we did that, now we can basically use this logger to log anything, something like this one. Let's say if I just want to log the session key, I'll just say logger dot info. Info means just normal information message. You can do logger dot debug or logger dot error as well, just session key. Now using this session key, we will be authenticating to Splunk and then get the credentials from the passwords.conf created by that particular app, REST manager app, correct? So we will create a new method now. Let's say get credentials. Okay, so def get underscore credentials, and in the get credentials I will be passing the session key. And using that I will try to get the details. So first I'll just keep it in try catch. I'll just create the skeleton first. Okay, accept. Exception as E. So if there is some exception while getting this particular credential from the passwords.conf, I will be raising an exception. I think we did it over here as well, correct? In the get credential, I will just, let's say I will just do this. I'll just raise this exception over here. I'll just copy it. I will paste it over here. And if I just create the skeleton in my main index as well, main method as well, so what I'll be doing it, instead of hard coding this API key, I will be getting it from that get credentials, correct? So that means it will be something like API underscore key will be from here. We will be basically returning the API key. So let's do that. Return API underscore key and get credentials session key. I'll just copy it over here. So that will be our skeleton code. So we just need to now fill it up. So over here this is fine. We are just passing the session key. Now let's try to see how we can get the credential. So as I said, first thing is we need to connect to Splunk. Now if we just see the documentation for the Splunkclip client, so first thing is we need to import this splunkclip.client as client. So I'll just import it over here. So once you did that, because this Splunkclip folder is in my bin folder, so it will be automatically, you can import it like this one. Now once we did that, so splunkclip.client, there is a method called connect. Now using that connect method, you can pass to the app context, the owner, lot of things you can pass it over here, the host name, everything. Okay, if you are not passing the host, it will be localhost, and if you are not passing any port, it will be 8089, which is by default value for us as well, correct? So let us try to use this one. So the code will be something like, and if you see it, this connect method is actually returning a service object, which we will see it later. So that's why I'll be naming it as service. Okay, so I will say service equals to, so if I just go back over here, this client dot connect method, correct? So client dot connect, copy this one, and here now to this connect method we will be passing three things. One is this app context, another is this owner, and another is this session key or token. Okay, now app context is important because this particular passwords.conf is saved in my TMDB app. If I am not giving any app over here, app context over here, by default it will be searching to the search and reporting app. So that's why this is important. So I'll be giving app context as TMDB, because TMDB is my app name here, this folder name over here. And I will be giving owner equals to admin, because I have saved that particular passwords as a admin. And the third thing we need to give it over here to authenticate is this token over here, correct? So I'll copy this input name token, and what will be passing it over here, this session key. So we successfully able to write the code to connect to Splunk, which is basically creating a service object in Splunk. Now let us take a look at this service object. So if I just click on over here, so this is my service object, correct? Now this service object has a lot of methods, if you see it, right? The apps, capabilities, conf. If you just go down, so there is a method called, it will start with S, storage password. So it basically returns the collection of the storage passwords on this Splunk instance. This is what we are going to use it today. So for that, what we'll be doing it is, in the next line I will say secrets, secrets, just a variable name, and here I will be saying this service object dot storage passwords, which we are able to see it over here as well. Okay, so this storage password will give me the list of storage passwords available for this particular app and for this particular owner over here. Now we just need to loop through this one and get it. For our case it is just a single one because we have a single entry over here. For your case it may be lot of password you are going to save in a single app. You just need to loop through it and take that corresponding username and password. There maybe you need to write some logic, like if the username is something like this one, then take that particular password, something like this. So now as we have a single one, I'll just loop through it and get the API key here. So I'll say for secret, 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 in this particular secrets, I'm just looping through this particular list, and then I'm just trying to get the details over here. Now how you will get it? So let's see that. So service dot storage password, so it returns a collection of the storage passwords. Okay, now this is the collection of the storage password where each and every element is a storage password. So if I just search for this one, storage, so this is the class for the list storage passwords. So there is a class called storage password where each and every element of the storage passwords will be this particular type, storage password, correct? And if you see it over here, so there is a method called content. As I am looping through it, so this each and every secret will be a storage password type, and then that means we can basically call this particular method on that particular secret, correct, which basically returns the content of that particular details. So let's see that. So if I just go to my code and I will say something like this one, content, secret underscore content equals to this particular secret dot content. Now it is very easy. My API key will be, so let's do that, logger dot info, and I will just paste this guy over here for now. Then we will see how to get my API key. So for now, as we cannot run, my code is not finished, I cannot run this with this API key, so I'll just do like this one. Okay, once we will see this secret content details and see how to extract the API key, then we will return the API key from here. And for now I will just comment out this line as well, so that it will not throw me any error over here. So as we have changed this inputs.conf from the backend, we need to restart Splunk once. So let us do that one and see how the content looks like. So if I just go to server control, restart Splunk. So our Splunk has been restarted. So let us sign in. Now if I just go to our TMDB app and just check for last 24, or let's say for today, we have any event or not. So I'll say index equals to TMDB index. For today, I think there is no event. So if we ingest an event for today, at least it will show up over here. So I'll go to settings, data inputs. This is where my scripted input, we can enable it. So if I just go to scripts, so this is our TMDB upcoming. Where is that? So this is our code over here. Currently it is disabled. I'll just enable it. So if everything goes fine, I will see some data over here, or at least if I just go back, go over here, and index equals to underscore internal, we just wanted to see that details of the secret key. So I will do source is equals to the file we are creating here. If I just go back over here in the logger, we have created this TMDB upcoming log file, correct? So that log file, if I just give over here and let's say last 15 minutes, it should show me something. So it is able to print the API key over here. If you see it from this line, so if I just see it over here, this is not the API key, there's the session key over here, correct? So but our code for the get credentials, we just did it. Okay, so what I have to do is I need to uncomment this code as well. Now this one is running every 60 seconds, so let us wait for a minute and try to see how it will looks like. So code wise, at least there is no error. That's why it just printed the session key and then it did nothing, because I actually commented this API key, this get credential method call as well. So let us wait for a minute. So okay, if you see it here, so it printed that session key, then it printed this guy as well, that secret key content, correct? So if I just go back to here, this secret content, it has printed over here. So if I see it here, it gives me a lot of information, like what is my clear password, which is nothing but the API key we have stored. So if I just see it from my code, so this is the same API key we are using and we have stored in our passwords.conf file as well, correct? and this is also showing the encrypted password, which is nothing but the passwords.conf file content. So if I just go back and see this password.conf, so this is the portion it is showing up over here in the encrypted password content, and the realm, everything, the username as well, you can get it from here, every details. So we just need the clear password, correct? So if I just go back now to my code and try to set the API key now, API underscore key, which will be nothing but this secret content. This is a dictionary, correct? Python dictionary, which has a key called clear password, which is nothing but this guy, and which is giving me the API key, the actual API key, which I can use it somewhere here. Then I will be returning the API key here, and I can now comment this particular line so that I will be getting my API key here as well. Now let us see first. Ideally it should index some data as well for now. If it is not, I think, if you remember, there was some checkpoint directory we also created, which is actually listing out all the movie IDs, which is already ingested. So I'm just removing this checkpoint directory file content, checkpoint.txt file content. Then ideally it should ingest some data now. So if I just see it over here, so it is already enabled. So let us wait for some time. It should be ingesting some data. And if you see it here, like it already ingested this 469 events today, correct? So that means whatever code we have written it over here works. And if you see it, like it already added those details as well in my checkpoint.txt file as well. Now, so what the things we learned in if I just tell the summary over here, so instead of setup.xml, we actually used this particular app to create that passwords.conf file. Then in our code, we used this Splunk lib to fetch the password.conf file details. So as I said, you can either use Splunk lib or you can use this Splunk.entity, this particular module, to fetch the same details as well. It's up to your choice, but using this Splunk lib, code is very concise. So hopefully this video was helpful. See you in the next video.